Welcome to the Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering 4th podcast. I am Jim Buchanan, Gathering Committee Chairman, and these are brought to you through Talking Glass Media, Signals AZ, and Cast 11. And we want to thank Guy Rodgenson, Tony Tedford, the multimedia producer, and their staff here. They do an absolutely wonderful job. Excellent to work with and very, very enjoyable. They make it fun. We're coming up quick, so you need to think about getting your tickets to the Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering, August 7th, 8th, and 9th, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We're at the Jim and Linda Lee Performing Arts Center at Yavapai College in Prescott, Arizona. And we have breakout sessions during the day that spread around the campus, but all the activities are at Yavapai College. So please come and enjoy. We have over 40 poets, musicians, storytellers that will share their hearts with you. And I say that sincerely because having worked with these people, I say worked with, I can't really call it work because I enjoy them and I enjoy what I do. And it's a great pleasure to be part of a committee of over 75 individuals now that work all year long to put on the Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering, and lots of wonderful sponsors and patrons. And last night I was in a local restaurant and a couple spoke to me and said, "We just want to thank you for all you do to keep the Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering alive and active in Prescott, Arizona. We'll see you there." So that's the good news part. We also do a segment on ranch history, which this year is going to feature the Keykefer K4 Ranch. That's at 1 o'clock on Saturday. It'll run till about 2:30 or close to 3. And then after that session, in the same room, Gary Allegretto will be doing his Learn to Instantly Play Harmonica workshop. And there is a $20 fee for the workshop. But everybody we talk to says it's well worth it, and you walk out the door with a brand new, well, slightly used because it's been in your mouth, Kohner harmonica. So come enjoy those things. My guests today are Gail Steiger. He's a cowboy and the manager at the Steiger Ranch northwest of Prescott, and his wife, Amy M. Hale, cowboy at the Steiger Ranch, author of numerous books, and a cowboy poet and a singer, as we're going to see in a minute. Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us, Jim.
Thinking of cowboy songs and you too, how about doing your poem in a song that I understand Amy wrote and Gail set to music, and I assume that may be easier for you than some because you're sitting around the living room in the evening and you have time to share with each other that many couples don't get the time to do because they're off doing different careers, and you two work side by side.
We're going to do a song that Amy wrote. She gave me the lyrics to this song in about 2017, and I put them in my song basket and didn't really look at them till the pandemic hit, and we had a lot of time on our hands, and I was fooling around with them one day, and I thought, man, that'd make a pretty good song.
Thank you, COVID.
So here's this song that Amy wrote called A Poem and a Song. Few words were spoken on the long ride in, 4 hours from door to door. Lisa's camp, we got a bed and a stove, walls, a ceiling, and a floor. And yesterday you hauled in a cooler with a little ice, some eggs, and some meat. We got books on the shelves, a a guitar on the wall, and after dark we'll drink our whiskey neat. We're down here just to find some remnants, those few cows we left behind. Long hours riding under a great big sky, following tracks and cutting for sign. It's a poem and a song of weather and work. It's a poem and a song of us. It's a poem and a song of horses and cows, written in the key of us. Written in the key of you and me, we sang in the key of us. On our next circle, we'll sleep out on the ground, cook our meals over an open fire. We'll lie down early beneath 1 billion stars. No drug to take us higher. I've heard all your stories and you've heard mine, but every day we make up something new. You're singing harmony on all my life, and I'm writing all my melodies for you. It's a poem and a song of weather and work. It's a poem and a song of us. It's a poem and a song of horses and cows, written in the key of us. Written in the key of you and me, we sang in the key of us. Written in the key of you and me, we sang in the key of us.
Thanks very much. We hope to hear that at the gathering. Amy has been a part of the Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering for 15 years or so, and is a wonderful author, cowboy poet who knows more about nature than I find imaginable.
Thank you.
My wife and I spent many days horseback in the backcountry, some of it out near country where you are, and always felt close to nature in God's country. But as I read Amy's writings, I am more aware of what I missed about nature. Tell us about your life on the ranch, because it's a kind of a special thing. I know it's special to you too, and I know that you are very dedicated to the process that you're using public lands, I believe national forest lands where you are for your grazing pastures, and your care and dedication to the land is outstanding, I think, although I see that in every rancher and cowboy I talk to. But there are those that rise to the top, and I think you too do.
Well, hard to say, but hard to say. Sometimes, I mean, ranching, it's not as homogeneous a life as most people think. Really, it depends on the ranch you're on and the kind of country you're on, and what kind of operation you're running. Our neighbor to the south of us is the Long Meadow Ranch, and they run about the same number of cows that we do, but they're running theirs on about 2,500 acres, and we're running ours on about 48,000 acres of forest. And our operations are just totally different. We're not doing the same thing. But so it kind of depends on where you are and the country you have and the kind of cattle you have and like that.
The Long Meadow is a lot more of that open grassland and
farming,
lower country with more water, and yours is juniper and pine and a lot of rock.
It's a big old rock pile is what it is.
Yeah, we run from about 6,100 feet, ponderosa pine trees up at the top, down to like 3,200 feet. And we got ponderosa pine trees at the top, and then cedar mesas, lots of Utah juniper, alligator juniper, and a lot of malapai rocks. And then we go off into the country like your house, granite, granitic soil, lots of boulders and lots of brush, lots of chaparral. And then at the bottom, we got Sonoran Desert. We got saguaro cactuses at the bottom end and lots of things with stickers on them.
Gila monsters, prickly pear.
So it just, and the cool thing too is no 2 days are the same. I mean, every day is different.
It's hard to get bored
No
when you're
2
changing
years.
elevation like that.
Yeah.
But
We live at the base of Granite Mountain, and we never tire of the view because it's always changing.
Always changing.
It's either getting brown or getting green, or there's a shadow here, or some daylight there, sunlight, and it just changes all the time.
Yeah.
And when you talk about like me being close to nature or whatever like that, it's hard not to be when we're sleeping out on the ground 60 to 70 nights out of the year, depending on our rotation schedule. We're sleeping on the ground. We set up a tent if it looks like rain, which we should love to set up a tent here in the next few weeks. And we're cooking.
We hope so.
Yeah, and we're cooking over an open fire. And we're hanging with our cows when we make a pasture move. But the other thing is that Gail just talked about the vegetation diversion. And there's also that diversity of critters out there with the bears and the Gila monsters and the deer and the elk and the antelope and we have a beaver on the ranch. We have some beaver on the ranch now, which is a wonderful thing. And game and fish have also reintroduced some wild turkeys, and mercy, they like that country. And I mean, anywhere from the frogs and the snakes. And so it's not me. It's the fact that it is a fascinating place to live in and to work. And that's without the horses and cows. So yeah, it's a great place to live, and we do work together, eat together, sleep together, make art together. Yes, we do. And when I first came to the Spider, we didn't really date, but one of the things that Gail said was, if we can punch cows together, we can do anything together. And he's absolutely right. So for 17 years, we've done everything together, from ranching to making music and poems to dealing with family things. So he was right.
Yeah. And what I have noticed, observed, whatever, in your writings, and you're active on social media, and I often see a picture of a bug or something, and I go, I haven't paid as much attention to those as I probably need to, because they're a part of that
ecosystem, that very, very complicated ecosystem. That's one of the reasons that I've enjoyed working with Arizona Game and Fish. I like working with those guys because they're seeing the big picture, the whole picture. But Gail's really good at helping us to do that too.
Amy, you wrote a poem that I know requires a little introduction, and we'd like you to do that poem for us.
I'd be happy to. I have chosen to present this poem here today because there's a little nostalgia involved. My first book came out in 2011, and this coming fall, my 6th book is coming out. And so it's a little bit with nostalgia that I look back on 2011 because I was so naive. I was so naive to believe that when your little dream comes true and your book gets launched out into the world and somebody believed in you enough to publish it, that then the job is over. And that is so not true. I am a little bit of a veteran now. I know that there is so much work that comes after that book has been released. So in April of 2011, my first book, Rightful Place, was released. And this story takes place in August. I poured a cup of coffee and I joined my boss, who is also my husband, at the kitchen table. And Gail said, "Now, today what I think needs to happen is we are going to saddle up and go around the fences in the granite pasture so that we can start making this next pasture move." And that's the thing about riding fence. It's kind of like doing dishes. It doesn't matter how well you do them. You're going to have to do them again. And if you're running cattle on the national forest, anytime you make a pasture move, the first thing that has to happen is you have to go around and check the fences in the pasture you're going into. So that's what the boss said. He said, that's what we're going to do today. We're going to saddle up and go around the fences. I'm going to go one way. You're going to go the other. We're going to check the fences and the granites. And I said, babe, have you seen what is going on in my office? And he said, do you want a paycheck? And I thought he had a really good point. But I had a bad attitude. And so those of you who've raised teenagers know that the best thing for a bad attitude is to get outside and hard physical labor. So this is my attitude adjustment poem. It's called See You at the Barn. See you at the barn is what you give me as you turn left and I turn right along a ribbon of cedar posts and barbed wire stretched tight. Up and down canyons, across ridges, I make crooked the straight in deference to equine muscle and slick rock. And my head plays traitor to my heart. Badgers me with litanies, lists, and ledgers, calendars, costs, and clocks, tick-tock, all those things we have misnamed real. And I spur my horse faster. But this rough ride can't be rushed, and reality reclaims its right to what is really real, and thank God, I can see again. Rocks in layers with pebble aprons, as if they were waterfalls, and they will be when the water falls. Dead trees posed amongst the living as if they were paintings, and they will be when the artist brings her brushes. Bright pink bear scat, heavy laden with prickly pear seed, deer as silent explosions out of shadows rise above me to stand watching. Tick-tock becomes hoof-fall and heartbeat. Hoof-fall quickening when quinine quivers with quail whir, and my own heart beats. When I see a bright green rattlesnake, velvet tail, pale buttons, head flat, coiled tight, and he does not buzz. The hawk is my silent sailing companion until he cries, friendly, lonely from the air. A fragile inchworm rests on my sleeve. Fat green acorns wear tight-knit caps for fall. Songbirds weave in and out of the bushes, and I become one of them as I weave with words and with wire. And so the hours do not pass, for I refuse to name them or claim them as such. And when I turn toward home, I vow that when I remember, I will not give time nor day nor task, but rather I will say, I remember that moment when I was alive. I'll see you at the barn.
Thank you very much. I've been honored to have known Gail for many years. I don't know how many, but quite a few. And I knew his dad, and I even knew his grandpa. You have to be in Prescott for a while to have known Grandpa Gail Gardner. I have to confess, most of my interaction with Grandpa was at the Prescott post office when he was postmaster. And Mom would send me in to get the mail or, mail a package or do whatever. And he was always there with a kind, nice greeting and a wonderful man that was one of Prescott's best, I would say, back in the day. And he was also a cowboy. We've observed that in a lot of cowboy poets and cowboys, is that they, somewhere along their lives, they've had to do other work so that they could sustain themselves. And but Gail Gardner wrote a poem called Tying a Knot in the Devil's Tail. And Gail, I know you probably done that poem 10,000 times. I was going to say 1,000.
Probably a lot of times. I've done it a lot of times, and I heard Papa do it a lot of times too. He would do it at the drop of a hat too.
Well, we keep asking for it. So you can share that poem with us if you would.
I'll do it for you. I'll do it as close as I can to the way I used to hear him do it. Well, my grandfather wrote this song, Tying Knots in the Devil's Tail. He wrote it in 1917. Prohibition was a very hot topic then. And I have no doubt that when I get done singing it, you won't have any doubt about what side of the question he was on, I believe. I've heard him sing it a million times. He had a friend who was a folk singer named Katie Lee. And one time I saw Katie Lee try to accompany him on the guitar, and he would shut her right down. No, Katie, I don't need any help. Thank you very much. And I know that he did that so nobody could tell how far off key he was singing. He never would. He never would let anybody play the guitar while he was singing. So I'll just try to do this song the way I've always heard it. Papa's had a friend named Billy Simone, and Billy talked him into setting the poem to music. And Billy came up with a tune that I think there was a popular song called Polly Wolly Doodle All the Day, and I think they stole that tune. But Billy got Papa to start singing it. Here's Tying Knots in the Devil's Tail, the way I always heard it. The Sire Peaks is what they call the Sierra Prieta Mountains, and Thumb Butte is the most prominent feature of the Sierra Prietas. Way up high in the Sire Peaks where the yeller pines grow tall, old Sandy Bob and Buster Jiggs had a road deer camp last fall. Well, they taken their horses and running irons and maybe a dog or two, and they allowed they'd brand all the long-eared calves that came within their view. And any old ogie that flapped long ears and didn't bush up by day got his long ears whittled and his old hide sizzled in a most artistic way. Now one fine day, old Sandy Bob, he throwed his Seago down. He says, I'm sick of the smell of burning hair, and I allows I'm a-going to town. So they saddles up and hits 'em a lope, for it warn't no sight of a ride. And them was the days when a buckaroo could oil up his insides. Well, they starts her in at the Kentucky bar at the head of Whiskey Row, and they winds up down by the depot house some 40 drinks below. They then sets up and turns around and goes her the other way. And to tell you the God-forsaken truth, them boys got stewed that day. Well, as they was a-riding back to camp, still packing a pretty good load, who should they meet but the devil himself, prancing down the road. Says he, you ornery cowboy skunks, you better hunt your holes, for I've come up from Hell's Rim Rock to gather in your souls. Says Sandy Bob, oh devil be damned, we boys is kind of tight, but you ain't a-gonna gather no cowboy souls without you has some kind of a fight. Then Sandy Bob punched a hole in his rope, and he swang it straight and true. He lapped it on to the devil's horns, and he stacked on his dallies too. Now Buster Jig was a Rieta man, with his gut line coiled up neat. He taken it down and built him a loop. Then he lashed the devil's hind feet. Well, they stretched him out and tailed him down, and while the irons was a-getting hot, they cropped and swaller forked his ears, and then they branded him up a lot. They pruned him up with a dehorning saw, and they knotted his tail for a joke. They then rid off and left him there, neck to a blackjack oak. And if you're ever up high in the Sire Peaks and you hear one hell of a wail, you'll know it's that devil a-bellerin' around about them knots in his tail.
Gail, thank you. Tell us a little bit about your involvement with other cowboy poetry gatherings, because I know, Gail, you've been involved with the Elko National Cowboy Poetry Gathering for a number of years, and I served on their board and advised them and counseled them and provided some guidance.
Well, you have a pretty good understanding of how that can go too, I'm sure. Certainly as good as mine. I got involved with the Western Folklife Center, who really Hal Cannon and several other folklorists, Jim Griffith, Warren Miller, several folklorists around the West got together and said, hey, we got this kind of art form that's in danger of disappearing, and we think this would be a good subject for study. And the study that they did resulted in the very first Cowboy Poetry Gathering that they held in Elko, Nevada in 1985. In 1988, they dedicated the poetry gathering to my grandfather, and he was 95 at the time. And I had just worked on a documentary about cowboys here in town, and we worked with the Charlotte Hall Museum where Warren Miller was working. They helped us with the funding for our documentary, and so Warren knew that I was a little bit familiar with camera stuff and audio equipment, and he asked me if I would record my grandfather doing his tying knots in the devil's tail and take it up to Elko. They wanted to play it. They dedicated that year's gathering to him, and they wanted some video of him addressing the gathering. And at 95, he didn't feel like he was able to travel. So Warren asked me if I would take this video up there, which I did. And that was really the beginning of a long relationship with those guys, and a real eye opener for me too, because I had heard Papa singing his song lots of times. I had no idea how far that song had traveled, how much it had gotten around. And here we're playing, I'm playing the video up there, and I'm looking out, there's about 1,000 people in the audience, and lots of them knew the words. I was just amazed at that. I couldn't, I'll be darned. That thing really did travel. So that was the start of my involvement. And when I was at that gathering, I met Joel Nelson was there from Texas. He's a friend he's attended this gathering many times. Yep. But Joel decided to start a Texas gathering too, kind of about the same time that Warren and Sally and you guys got involved in this. I think that first gathering that they put on might have been 87.
I think they're maybe a year older than our gathering here in Prescott. But
long story short, I met Joel at Elko at that gathering, and I'll be darned if he didn't twist my arm and make me come to theirs, which was in February. It was a month later. And that was the first time I ever played any songs of my own in front of anybody in public, but he made me get up there in front of God and everybody and sing a song or two. That was the start. And I got involved with both of those gatherings right then.
Yeah. And Joel is a wonderful cowboy poet.
Yeah.
Boy, talk about a man that can come across with the right words the right way. He's certainly one of the best, I think.
One of the best, just a dang good cowboy, and a really good hand too.
Yeah.
I learned a lot. Joel was putting together the crew for the 06 ranch then. And so after I attended that first Texas gathering, that was in 88, I went back and went through 5 roundups with the 06, and Joel and he taught me a lot about handling cattle, and that was a gift for me too. Then to get to see that kind of big wagon. Those guys pulled the chuck wagon. They'd have 10 or 12 guys on the crew, and that was really fun. I wasn't used to working with a crew like that here.
Well, and my observation is there's a jillion books, and those books just cannot tell the story of cowboying and how to be a good cowboy. Mm-hmm. It's just got to be shared between you all. Yeah. You know, and I've often said that I am not a cowboy, and I'm not. I've had the pleasure and opportunity a few times to go out and help at ranches, gather cattle or move cattle or whatever, and just always enjoyed that, and always enjoyed and appreciated the respect that I saw for the animals and the land and the environment. It's something that you wish people could have the experience of seeing and being part of, but you realize that it's just not viable to do that. But, Amy, you have another poem. I think you call it Work Song.
I do. Yes.
Would you do that for us?
I would love to.
Super. Thank you.
The alarm sings at 4 a.m. Ours is a work song, a song of doing with hands and hearts, a heartbeat song. It is an ING song, a song of rising, going, growing, moving, mounting, being there where the work is always waiting. Ours is a living song, a defining song, a refining song, a trial by fire and some days are hard in 4/4 time song. It is a cycle song, a season song, a never-ending circle song with weather and death. Ours is a sweet singing, a lowing, a keening, a coyote howling in the canyon, a falling rain, and deep Gurgle Creek song. We always sing of water. Ours is a song of fire and wind, wood and plants, stone and that ancient dance. A song of trying again, and love and lists. Don't forget to stop at the feed store. Ours is a walking song, allegretto upon the trail, a single file dust song. A bawling for baby's melody with bass notes of bellowing bull telling the whole world we are on our way. Yes, sweetly singing, we are on our way.
This has been fun. It's been fun for me. I've had the opportunity to visit with Gail and Amy off and on through the years, but I've heard some things today that I didn't know, and that's a good thing. And it's super nice that they're local people here in Prescott, and that's part of our Western heritage here in Prescott and Yavapai County. Is certainly it originates with the cowboy and ranching and all of that, and it's really been nice to have you here with us today. So thank you for that.
Well, thank you, Jim.
Yeah. Thank you for watching the Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering podcast. And the gathering is August 7th, 8th, and 9th. And as Brenda Kruger's poster art depicts this year, Heading to the Gathering is the name she put on that art. Shows a cowboy saddling up to head to the gathering, and we hope you've seen it around in some of our advertisements and that, and we look forward to seeing you at the Arizona Cowboy Poets Gathering. Thanks very much, and we'll see you another time. Adios.